Former Google CEO Eric Schmidt has been warning that the rules of war are being rewritten by automation. Drones, algorithms, and synthetic training data are creating a battlefield that moves at machine speed, where deterrence as we once understood it may no longer work. In this talk, we'll explore what Schmidt says about the new cost-benefit equation of conflict, why stockpiling algorithms changes escalation, and why, despite all the robotics, human judgment and traditional forces still matter. This isn't just about technology. It's about the fragile balance between speed, deterrence, and responsibility in the next era of warfare.
In favor of essentially working at home, and the reason, many of you guys all work at home to some degree, but your careers are already established. But think about a 20-something who has to learn how the world works. And they come out of Berkeley or Dartmouth and they're very well educated. When I think about how much I learned when I was at Sun, just listening to these elder people who were 5 or 10 years older than I was, argue with each other in person, how do you recreate that in this new thing? And I'm in favor of work-life balance, and that's why people work for the government. Sorry.
Strays.
Sorry. If you're going to be in tech and you're going to win, you're going to have to make some trade-offs. And remember, we're up against the Chinese. The Chinese work-life balance consists of 996, which is 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week. By the way, the Chinese have clarified that this is illegal.
Yet Eric Schmidt also cautions that even as robotic warfare grows, human judgment and traditional forces remain indispensable. Moral and political decisions, when to respond, when to de-escalate, can't be outsourced to machines, nor can the physical task of holding ground, stabilizing communities, and rebuilding infrastructure after a strike. Schmidt argues that future conflicts will still feature destructive waves of automated systems, but they won't remove the need for human responsibility or for forces capable of stabilizing the aftermath. That's why the smartest strategy isn't just building better drones, it's creating doctrines and safeguards that slow escalation, preserve human oversight, and make algorithms interpretable and fail-safe. Robust cross-checks, transparent signaling channels, and resilient infrastructure are not nice-to-haves. They're the new pillars of deterrence. As Schmidt frames it, automation multiplies capability but also multiplies fragility. The advantage will go to whoever can combine technological edge with policies and institutions that keep humans firmly in the loop.
We should talk about, and all of us will be affected by this. We better also be competing with the Chinese in day-to-day stuff.
Right.
Consumer apps, this is something you understand very well, Chamath. Consumer apps, robots, and so forth and so on. I saw all the Shanghai robotics companies, and these guys are attempting to do in robots what they've successfully done with electric vehicles, right? And their work ethic's incredible. They're well funded. It's not the crazy valuations that we have in America.
Right.
They can't raise the capital, but they can win across that. The other thing the Chinese are doing, and I want to emphasize this as a major geopolitical issue, is that my own background is open source. In the audience, you all know open source means open code, open weights means open training data. China is competing with open weights and open training data, and the US is largely and majority focused on closed weights, closed data. That means that the majority of the world, think of it as the Belt and Road Initiative, are going to use Chinese models and not American models. Now, I happen to think the West and democracies are correct, and I'd much rather have the proliferation of large language models and that learning be done based on Western values.
Eric, we had a major open source initiative with Meta, incredible balance sheet, tremendous technical firepower, but they seem to have misexecuted and now are taking a step back and reformulating something, to your point, that looks a little bit more closed source.
It's not clear. Alex Wang's a good friend. He's come in. He's taking over. He's obviously incredibly capable. I would not I would not say that they're going fully closed. And I think also they got screwed up because the DeepSeek people, R1, did such a good job, right, If you look at the
Eric Schmidt makes it clear that the near future of technology and warfare won't look like the humanoid robots of Hollywood, but rather like an explosion of fast, autonomous mobility systems, hypersonic aircraft, advanced drones in the air, and unmanned craft under the sea. He points to Ukraine's use of small unmanned surface vessels to cripple parts of the Russian fleet in the Black Sea and reopen grain exports from Odessa, a move vital to 6 to 10% of the country's economy, as proof that these systems already deliver strategic results today. For Schmidt, this is part of a larger convergence. AI, drones, hypersonics, and rocketry all accelerating together over the next 5 to 10 years. He openly frames his work as wanting America to win, arguing that the real race is not to build movie-style robots, but to master rapid, autonomous mobility across multiple domains while keeping democratic nations ahead.
We all, so first place, and I've seen it live, and I will tell you that real war is much worse than the worst movies you have ever seen about war. And that's all I'll say. It's really horrific. It's to be avoided at all cost. And then, right, for obvious reasons. And and I love all these people who say, well, the warmongering talk, be careful what you wish for, because the other side gets a vote. When I started working and trying to understand what Ukraine was doing, Russia was pushed back. And they've come back with a very, very strong second and third round. So the enemy gets a vote in this situation. First, things will have to be...
The discussion highlights a very realistic view of where AI stands today. As Eric Schmidt explains, current AI isn't truly end-to-end the way human intelligence is. Instead, it works middle to middle. It can do a huge amount of processing and pattern finding between steps, but it still relies on people to define the goal, to prompt it, to validate the output, and to keep iterating until something useful emerges. That means rather than replacing us, AI in the next few years will mostly act as a powerful assistant, helping with research, problem solving, and even personal matters, while we still steer the process. The big open question is when, if ever, an AI will develop its own ability to set goals, seek new information, and improve itself recursively. Schmidt notes that some startups claim they're close, but there's no real evidence yet, and he guesses it's at least 5 to 10 years away. In the meantime, systems like Gemini 2.5 show how fast progress is happening, especially in areas like scientific discovery, which Demis Hassabis is pursuing as a possible path to AGI. This paints a picture of near-term AI as collaborative rather than autonomous, an optimistic but grounded perspective.
Humans are end-to-end, and so as a result of that, instead of AI replacing all of us, AI will be very synergistic with humans because we can do the prompting and we work with it to iterate, and it does a lot of the work in the middle. That seems to me like a very optimistic, less doomeristic take on it.
What you just said is exactly what's going to happen for the next few years. That each of us will have assistants which on our command and our prompting will be incredibly helpful to whatever problem we have. Personal, you have people who are using these things for relationship advice, for talking to their kids.
Today's talk showed how AI is moving fast but still depends on us. As Eric Schmidt explains, current systems are middle to middle, not end to end, which means the real story for the next few years is collaboration rather than replacement. We set the goals and provide the prompts. AI does the heavy lifting in between, helping in business, personal life, and even scientific discovery. True self-improving AI is still 5 to 10 years away, but models like Gemini show how quickly the field is advancing. That's the world we're heading into. Powerful tools working alongside humans. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to like this video and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the next update.